Hello, welcome to Narrative. My name is Veronica and today we're trying something new. Today I'm standing up because it gives me more energy. Welcome to my white wall that might not be white forever. We'll see. But just to give you like a sense of what we're doing today, I have a lot of comments. Because today we're going to be talking about the Ream Stories platform and my thoughts about it, because I'm new to Ream Stories. I started publishing my story Hellbound, which plug is a contemporary supernatural mature romance story that is a epic saga kind of situation where you follow different stories in the same world and different characters throughout. And even if some people find their happy ending, it might not be forever. And then we also see other characters. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, check my links down below. But anyway, as I was saying, I started publishing this about 2 weeks ago and I started setting it up like a month in advance or something. So I have explored this platform quite a bit. And I am not necessarily impressed with what I'm seeing. It's essentially a mix between Patreon and like maybe an early version of Wattpad kind of situation. Because where you subscribe to an author and you get the tiers and everything, that is essentially exactly like Patreon. It looks literally exactly like Patreon. The reading part looks very much like Wattpad and like any really reading platform. Perfectly standard, not a problem. The fact that the subscription area looks exactly like Patreon was a little bit confusing for me because I was like taken aback by it, but all right. So you can subscribe to tiers just like Patreon, and you can access different type of contents based on what the author allows which tier to access. You have a free option as well, but you get maybe 3 chapters depending on the author, what they choose. Pretty normal, pretty standard, that's fine. The browsing of the stories, on the other hand. When you click a story, you get a pop-up with the name and the blurb and stuff like that. That is pretty much exactly like Wattpad. Ream has a little bit more information, but we'll get there. It's not relevant. I can see where the inspiration is coming from and what they were trying to achieve, but the execution isn't really there. But we will get to that point a little bit later on. I'll leave the juiciest parts to the end because I do actually want to go through speaking about the functions of the platform first. So sit tight. Background. All right, let's get into the background. So if we are to believe, I've done digging. I've done digging, okay. So if we are to believe the Reddit post that I found that was published roughly a year ago by someone called Ream by Sean, that claims to be the founder / co-founder. This will be important later, like keep that in mind, it will be important later. But Ream by Sean claims that he is the one that is developing the platform, and the reason he's doing so is because his wife is a adult content author, and Patreon doesn't really like that. So they appear to have had some issues with Patreon, and in order to get away from that so that Patreon can't take down your stuff and take away your earnings, they decided to create their own platform that then they expanded to other authors as well when they realized that, hey, this is potentially good for other authors too. So Ream is essentially trying to be Patreon, but specifically for writers and authors. And the reason why I do think that this checks out, that Ream by Sean is the co-founder of what he's saying is accurate, because even in their content guidelines, they say, we are strong advocates for erotic literature, and Ream is co-founded by an erotic / steamy romance author. So this do kind of seem to echo each other in the checking out in that way. That's why I think that it's real. It is a little bit of a weird quote to have in content guidelines document, but based on all of the documents that I read, like privacy policy, terms of condition, and all of that stuff, it's quite clear that these documents have not been written by or been looked at by an actual lawyer, because some of these contain like spelling mistakes that would potentially legally create risks of it becoming null and void. Ream and Patreon does have the same issue, where it is mostly good for people who already has a following or they are generating a following on another platform, because Ream and Patreon both suffer from the lack of discoverability. However, Patreon is working to fix that, so my content is not going to be discoverable because Hellbound is an adult type of story that contains adult themes, including steamy stuff. So adult content on Patreon cannot be like searched for, which is a good thing. But if you're not a adult, a mature, what did you call it? Mature content type of creator, you will be able to be searched for. So Patreon is fixing that. Ream, on the other hand, there is no real search function on Ream. From the front page, you can pick a genre, but when you click in there, then you just got a list of all the stories. There's no search function for tags or maturity rating or pairings or anything, which is weird because in the back end, I, as the author, put all of that information in. So despite me putting that stuff in the back end, there's no search function that uses it. You just have to randomly click a cover that you like to get that pop-up with the blurb and check the tags that way. But you can't actually search for it. It's really weird. Like, I've never come across a reading platform that doesn't have a proper search function where you can do that specific niche targeting. Like, even fan fiction back when I was like 15 years old had that. Why doesn't Ream? It should surely be the basic thing that you put in. Because why are you asking me as an author for this information if you're not going to use it? I do get that the reader will see it and be able to choose if this is for them or not, but why is there not a search function for them to already kind of filter out the stuff that they don't want? I have several reasons why I won't necessarily continue with Ream. Oh, spoilers for the conclusion. But one of the main things is that there's no analytics given to you as the author, which is wild. How am I supposed to make informed decisions if I don't know how many viewers I've had on my stories, how many clicks I've had? The only thing you get information about is if someone decides to pay to access your story. So if you put an entire story for free, you will have no data to see if people are interested in these things, how well your read through is. Nothing. And I'm like, how can you have a platform that is about helping authors and not give me the damn numbers? Like, I need this data in order to make informed decision on whether the story is worth continuing, if I need to make edits to the story, if I should make more chapters free, or if I should move the payment stopgap, whatever, the gate, further to earlier parts of the story, or if this platform is even worth it. And arguably, my headcanon right now, with everything that we're going to go through, I think this is on purpose because I don't think that there's enough readers on Ream for it to be worth it. Because it's like, why are you not giving me information like this? Because it probably puts you in a very bad light. Because, just side note, even in the authors group that they have, which also will become important later, there's like 6,000 people in there, which is a good chunk of people. No new posts in the last month and no new members in the past week. Okay, so you're telling me that statistically, not everyone who is publishing on Ream is going to join a Facebook group. So which means that you have at least 6,000 authors on Ream, but probably a good chunk more. So let's say 10,000 authors on Ream right now. I don't give a shit how many other authors there are, because there's always going to be enough of an audience for every author. I need to know if I'm spending my time well on Ream, or if I should go fully Patreon or Wattpad, or what am I supposed to do if you don't give me the numbers? This pisses me off, actually, because how can you be pushing, I'll get there, this will come important later. everything is important later. But like, yeah, the analytics is like okay. I have worked in comms and marketing for 10 years, and everything you do there has to be data driven. Everything is based on how many eyes you get on it, how much traction you're getting, etc., etc. If it's worth continuing, the return on investment, the ROI, is key. It is king, it is queen, it is royalty, okay? And to portray this platform as this alternative to Patreon in order to help you manage, I suppose, a subscription-based income, and you're not giving people the number of people who are actually looking, because like, I need to know if people are looking at the blurb but choosing not to continue, because then I know that I need to update my damn blurb. You don't give me information. How am I supposed to make decisions here? Gut feelings, vibes ain't it, all right? Okay, I need to move on. Ream has a release schedule function, which is fantastic. The idea of this, I love. I really love this function because it is going to make it so much easier for people if it worked. I'm perfectly fine with acknowledging that this was probably more an issue on my end, because of reasons I will tell you in a second, than it being a universal issue. If you are a native English speaker and your computer is in an English-speaking country, then your release schedule function will work fine. But because Ream was trying to forcefully auto-translate certain parts of the website, because it geotagged me in technically Norway, but I'm in Sweden, but it's close enough. It was trying to forcefully translate certain things, which caused an issue in the backend, so making that the release schedule function did not work. I know all of this because I reached out to customer support, and to be fair, that was fixed within like 2 days. Not a whole, like, it's not a big deal because they actually they solved it, but the reasoning doesn't check out, because why the hell are you geotagging me and then forcefully trying to translate your website, auto translate, by the way, not manual, like a manual translated version of your website. It is a plugin essentially. But you're geotagging me and forcing me into a category, which the only reason I can understand here is for the times, to know what time I define as 3 p.m. counter to, you know, the world clock, whatever. That's fine. But the auto translate? No, sir. Especially not if that is causing issues with the function of the website. Why have you implemented it? Stop it. So what happened was that I was trying to put the release schedule to release at 1 chapter every Friday at 3 p.m. my time. Every time I clicked go through, like, confirm, it was like, oh, Mondays at 2 p.m. What? And I tried different versions. I tried on the phone, I tried on the browser, I tried different browser. I did the whole thing, right? And nothing worked. So that's when I reached out to customer support. The way they answered was a little bit weird, because they were like, oh, it says you're in Norway. Is that accurate? Because that could play into when it does scheduling. And I'm like, no matter where in the world I am, it's a 24-hour clock. Like, it should not be more than 24 hours before or after. That's how time works, you know? 3 or 4 days in either direction. That doesn't check out. So the way they were trying to, like, hey, explain it was a bit weird in that regard. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that does not how time work, and then probably not how your tech is working. So I explained further, and I was like asking, like, are you telling me that because I'm in Sweden, I'm only allowed to publish on Mondays? They sidestepped that question entirely, by the way. But that's essentially how they explained the first time around. That's essentially what they were trying to say. Or not even trying to say, that was kind of what they were insinuating with how they were explaining things. And then it got solved after a few more emails. But again, it was solved, now it works, that's a great function. But if you're outside of an English-speaking country, be aware that this might happen. And if it does, contact customer support so that they shut down the auto translation in the back end of your account, essentially, because they geotag you and then force that on you. I did also explicitly ask, like, are you gonna force translate all of the website based on where someone is? Because that's a big problem, because I'm in Sweden. We are a pretty international country. We have a lot of people who don't necessarily read or speak the local language, Swedish, fluently, but they are more comfortable with English. So it would make it more difficult for them to use your website. That's not a good behavior. Like, don't force that. Let me choose. Which they did confirm that no, of course, we are going to let people choose. Which kind of goes against the auto translation that they have currently going on. I don't know why. And Ream, if you're watching this, hi, you're not gonna like this video, but anyway, please stop doing forced auto translations. It's not a good thing. Just let people choose. And until you actually have a properly translated version of your website, stick to English, please. And continuing about the website itself, this particular point might actually be more of an annoyance than an actual problem, because I think it's just an oversight in the design. But when you're logged in and you go to the front page and you try to scroll down to the footer to get access to terms of condition, the privacy policy, etc., right? That doesn't work, because it is an infinite reload or reading in of stories. So if you just scroll down to the footer before you're able to see anything or manage to click anything, new stories are loaded in. So it just keeps going. It's like infinite. So you can't access those when you're logged in. You have to log out in order to access privacy policy, terms of condition, guidelines, even the helpline, if you will, all of that stuff. So I think that's more of an oversight in the design, but it is quite annoying. And it is in the footer that you can find the privacy policy and the terms of condition and all of that stuff. And it is thanks to finally accessing those that I am pretty sure that they are not GDPR compliant, which is a big no if you're going to be operating a business within the European Union. And for people who don't know what GDPR is, it is a European law that is protecting consumers. It's like consumer protection law, essentially. You can read that up. It's confusing sometimes and it's difficult sometimes. But if you are a company that is operating within European Union, you need to be GDPR compliant, which includes this whole tracking thing. I don't know if Americans will get the same pop-up that Europeans do when they're visiting a European website, but if you do, you should be getting a pop-up that says, hey, do you agree to these terms and the tracking, the cookies and stuff like that. Essentially, you should be getting a pop-up that says accept all, deny, or accept bare minimum, I think, so that you can make an informed decision of whether, like, what information am I comfortable giving, because a lot of websites, specifically in the US, they collect so much data on you, and the European Union actually kind of good in protecting consumers and all of that stuff, doing good stuff, want to give consumers more protection and rights in this landscape to kind of even the power imbalance. So I, as a European with European tech and everything, should be getting prompts about which tracking I'm okay with and not, which I don't on this website, which is not a good sign. For example, if they are an American company, they can, like, I think it was a news site that I went on to. They asked me, do you accept or do you deny? And I clicked deny, and therefore it sent me to a website or a page on the website that said, hey, if you want to use our services, you need to accept. So they gave me the options of accept or don't use the website. And that's what they should be doing if they require to collect this type of information, the tracking of consumers, but they don't. Instead, they have in their terms of service a quote that says that, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, by using the service, you agree to the terms, and if you do not agree, do not use the service. And that is not GDPR compliant. you can't hide that in terms of service. You need to be upfront about that. If there's any like GDPR pros, like lawyers, people end up watching this, do correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the information that I got regarding my company. You need to be upfront about it, not kind of hide them, because you are essentially forcing me to use your website so that you can collect information in order to find this information. This should be like the first thing, like, hey, you just entered through the door. The butler should be like, hello, madame, would you like to be tracked or not tracked while you browse through this house and probably the entire neighborhood? Yes? No? Okay. That's Thankfully, I cracked myself up. And the last point regarding the whole tracking and the website and all of that stuff, this is more of a PSA so that you are aware if you decide to use the Ream website, is that if you follow another author, then they will automatically get your email to add to like their email lists and stuff, that they can contact you directly. Just so that you're aware. This is great for authors because we can get access to more people, but it might not be what you as a reader want to be signing up to. If an author updates a story, Ream will automatically send a message to you if you're a follower. So why would the author need to get your email unless they're adding it to their own like email list and stuff like that? For me, it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit crummy, not a great practice. So, but I don't think it's illegal. I don't think it's against GDPR, but just so that you're aware if you choose to be a reader on Ream. See, this is why I shouldn't be getting so worked up by things, because I have to close the window and it's like 26 degrees in here because Sweden isn't built for heat. Here's where we start getting the real problems, in my opinion. And I had already written this part of the script before I sat down and did some more digging, because something just kept nagging and like poking at me, like it felt off. Something felt like it didn't match up. So I'm going to split this into two different sections, basically going over what I had written before, and then in the end I'm going to add more context from the new stuff that I found. And yes, this would, I guess, be the juicy part. Let's start with Emilia Rose. Emilia Rose is touted as the poster child of Ream. It is the person that they push to use in webinars, to use in marketing materials, and that they use in blog posts talking about why Ream is so amazing and why it's the next platform for you, and all of that stuff. Because she has over 10 million reads on one story and over 7 million across all platforms, and she earns 6 figures a year. And I think that is amazing. I'm super happy for her and her success. Here's the issue though. On July 11th, 2024, we got an email about a new CEO being announced to Ream Stories. It's Emilia Rose. While she's continuing to be publishing on the platform and being featured, like having a featured author spot in the banner. Conflicts of interest, anyone? No, not in that company? Okay, yes, great. Here's where I have another note regarding the analytics that we talked about earlier, and it is, how the fuck do you have the gall to be touting Emilia Rose's 10 million plus reads on one story when you don't provide analytics? Where do you get that number from? Like, if you have the numbers, why aren't you giving me access to them? It's like the key aspect of authorship or the author business. I need these numbers, and you have access to them, but you're not giving them to me. Why? What are you hiding? All of these thoughts are coming up. I have no proof of this, but these are the doubts, I guess, that pops up in my head. So don't take this as, oh, this is why. No, this is the questions that pop up in my head. And it's just like, are there so few readers on this platform that you don't want to show that? Or is it that you are taking all the reads that across the platform and just compiling that into Emilia Rose's so that it looks better for your marketing pitch, because you're using her in your marketing pitch over and over and over again? Like, it's essentially the only author that you're lifting up. And side note, I couldn't really find anyone else talking about having success on Ream. Does not mean that there aren't any, but there's so little talk and buzz regarding Ream that I do question if Emilia Rose is the only one who is making profit on this site. Please, if you're an author who's using Ream and you're seeing success, let me know, because I do not see anything online. So continuing with the questions in mind, like the doubts that have already been building in my mind, I have all of these other questions. Like, how do you become a featured author? Is that something they pay to have access to? Or is it that you're just promoting your buddies? Or is this part of a promotion package that in order to get people to move over to Ream, you're paying them and this is part of the payment? How do you become a featured author? Because nowhere can I see that information. I can't find anywhere where you become or how you become a featured author. Like, there's no information. If it is something that you're using in order to get authors to talk about Ream and promote them moving over, that is something that very much needs to be disclosed. And now we get to the part where I had gone digging a little because something just didn't check out. And in all honesty, it didn't take a lot of digging, but it took enough digging that it's a problem, because this shit should be clearly stated on the platform. Remember how I mentioned that Emilia Rose is now the CEO of Ream Stories? In that email, they did announce her real name, Destiny Patnode. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right or not, but that's the way I'm gonna go with it. Also, remember how that Reddit post that Sean said that he created the platform for his wife? Well, I went and dug around a little bit in the Facebook group they have and found that his name is Sean Patnode. Yep, Emilia Rose is the wifey he made the platform for. And this is what I get very worked up about. Actually get really fucking pissed about, because how fucking dare you use your own wife, parading her around with numbers that I assume you can't prove to me, as a reason for why other authors should be joining the platform you made for your wife, by the way. And how fucking dare you not disclose this anywhere on the website? How dare you not mention that when I'm sitting in a webinar that is talking about how good Ream is, and parading Emilia Rose again about how she's used platforms like this and what her techniques are. How dare you not? Like, this webinar was sponsored by Ream. How dare you not disclose that? How do you have the fucking gall to look us in the eye and say this is a great platform and not tell us that Emilia Rose, Little Miss Wifey over here, has additional financial gain of getting other authors to join this platform and get readers over there, because they take like 8 or 10% per transaction, which is not bad. It's Patreon takes 8, so it's industry standard. But the fact that you don't tell us that she has extra financial gain from doing these things is atrocious. And the fact Emilia Rose, Destiny Patnode, whatever, how do you dare to not mention that when you're sitting in a webinar talking about these things? How do you not have the integrity to actually disclose this? Because it's not a problem if you disclose it. It's not going to make people not use Ream because of that, as long as you're honest. But because you have hidden this information, or not, at the very least, not been open and upfront about it, that causes issues. Because now that is making me question if this whole platform is made for Little Miss Wifey over here. How do I know that this platform isn't stacked in her favor? How do I know that this is an independent platform that is going to treat all authors equal? How do I know that she doesn't have access, which she probably does, considering husband and wife? She has access to analytics that she most likely shouldn't have access to, because these people can sit in the back end and see the numbers. How do I know that this information is being handled correctly, fairly, and legally? I don't. And this is the main reason why I am going to be, over the next month, going to be moving off of Ream, because I do not trust you. And if there's no trust, there is no relationship. This is why this is a problem. Because if you were honest about it and answered these types of questions, then people could trust you. But because you went out of your way and not mention it, that is a problem. I had to literally go onto Reddit to find information, and in passing, I saw that Sean Patnode was creating it for his wife, and then put 2 and 2 together when I saw your real name, saw your names on Facebook. Are you kidding me? This is information that should be upfront. Michael Evans, who was the CEO before, stepped down, and you immediately put your wife in the CEO position. This screams of nepotism. This screams of unethical and, at very least, lack of morals and integrity. There's no problem if she became the CEO when we all knew what was going on, that, yeah, okay, the 2 of you co-founded this, or the 3 of you technically with Michael Evans co-founded this. That's fine, then it makes sense. But nowhere on your website does it say that Emilia Rose is Destiny Patnode, who is the wife of the co-creator of this website, who is currently being displayed as a featured author. Are you kidding me? Wow, I did not intend to be this worked up. This shit riles me up. This is unacceptable. Shall we move into the conclusion? Are you surprised if I say that I'm not going to be using the damn platform? Probably not. I need to not get so worked up about this, because it's in the end just a fucking platform. I do think that Ream as a concept has potential. I think that they are doing a lot of moving in the right direction for authors, but it also feels so incomplete that it shouldn't have been launched yet. It should have been like in beta stage or something, not having them out here parading Emilia Rose around with 10 million and woo, we're so good. Like, you're not there. You're just not there. And I just keep coming back to the fact that I should have my damn analytics. Like, how can you sit there with a straight face and tell me that you are a serious author platform and not give me numbers? What is up with that? Lack of analytics makes it really difficult to use this as a serious platform, because I need it. What if my hook is off and I need to do more edits? I wouldn't know, because I don't have any fucking analytics. Okay? And with all of that said, I understand Ream is a new company. They're like 3 years old at most. And by the Reddit post that Sean wrote, there were 3 people a year ago, and I'm guessing they're like maybe 5 now if we're thinking growth. I don't know how many they are, but they don't feel like they're a big company because of all of these issues. And I do think that there's like one person working on developing this, and yet you're out there promoting it as it's a fully developed platform, which it is not. Originally, I was going to say that I was overall positive about the platform, but the transparency issues is real iffy, even if the reason why I'm definitely going to move off the platform is because they're not GDPR compliant. That's too much of a risk for me. And you're probably going to see me actually moving to Patreon, even though they made this in order to help people off Patreon. Yeah, I will be moving off of Ream. But if you want to learn more about my stories or keep updated regarding when things get published, do follow me on Instagram as well. And make sure to hit subscribe here. Leave any and all thoughts down below. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!